So I went on a real serious excavation and excursion of really being honest and acknowledging all the stuff and how I was met. Even with my alcoholism, I hadn't had a drink in 8 years based on that excursion I went on with myself. Mm-hmm. It wasn't AA, it wasn't therapy, it wasn't it. I made a vow to me not to ever be who I used to be.
Right.
And I wanted to be healed. Is that still ongoing? Yes, but that major mess, I no longer have. That's why my wife is able to come to me now, because I've made a vow to be vulnerable. Right. She'll come and she addresses me. She'd be like, Pastor. She called me a pastor. Pastor, you're not being consistent. And she and I have a wife that promotes peace. So when she see me ready to disrupt peace in one of my moves, she just say, yell out the word, you ain't consistent. And what that does, it's almost like it recalibrates me.
Yeah.
And the only way that happens is because I'm doing what Sean said. I'm being vulnerable.
Right.
That is a magnificent word, vulnerable. And we do not use it in our culture. It's not embedded in us. What we say, we got to be tough.
Yeah.
And this is that I want to bring this up since we're talking about that. One of the traits was hyper independence, always self-reliant. but you the reason I'm bringing that up, because if I'm so self-reliant and hyper independent, I know I'm not vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because you won't let nobody come in and help you. And what help am I talking about? Maybe it's counseling, maybe it's advice, maybe it's prayer, whatever the capacity is. If I'm not vulnerable, I'm not letting you in to help me, because I figure I can do it on my own.
Yep.
And I've learned that's a bad place to be.
It is. Yeah, you preaching to the choir.
Man. Well, obviously, James, you can speak to this because you've gone through this process and continue to go through this process. But where did it start from? Where did you first get your aha moment, I gotta change moment? When did you start on this path of, you know what I'm saying, I gotta start letting people in, I gotta be compassionate, vulnerable, have value? When did all of that start?
I would say probably about, I've been in ministry 27 years, so it started maybe about 15 years ago. And I will say this, I understood 15 years ago that I needed to be vulnerable, but I can tell you this, I was still on guard about when I was vulnerable. You see what I'm saying? I vacillated between, okay, this is a good time to be vulnerable if it looks safe.
Right. Yeah.
If it didn't look, I'm back guarded and I'm back to old me. And and what helped me get to a point and realize that I was unstable was James, the book of James. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. God was getting me to see that I can't vacillate from being vulnerable one moment and back this thug in the spirit, but proclaiming to be a minister the next moment.
Right.
A real solid man. And I had to get that had to become embedded in my thinking altogether, that there was absolutely nothing wrong with crying, with being vulnerable, with being kind, because all of that falls under the umbrella of being vulnerable.
Right.
And so it had to be about 15 years ago that I realized that I needed to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you who helped me with that. It was a doctor named Dr. Catherine Gorley. When I got out of prison, they offered me counseling. Now, you know, most Black men say, no, I'm fine. This time I actually said, you know what, man, I'm tired of being in this situation. I'll take it. 15 free visits. The first moment I went in there with Dr. Gorley, she looked at me and she said, oh, you're different, and immediately started praying for me. Now, I didn't ask for a Christian counselor, but she was a Christian woman. And because she addressed me like that and didn't know me, and I knew I was supposed to be there, she was the first woman that I have ever opened up and told her everything from my 6-year-old me up to that point.
Right.
So even now, when I see her on Facebook, I let her know that I just got my degree in counseling, the very thing she helped me with. And she don't realize that very first visit with her set a completely different stage for me. It was hard to be vulnerable, but I embraced it. And as a result of that, I am who I am now because I'm vulnerable.
Oh, that's awesome. I think we should, as women too, Black women in particular, I think we need to change our approach, if you will, when it comes to dealing with Black men. Like when you talked about being vulnerable and crying, that's one of the things that was like a huge turn. We joked about that before. I was like, that was a huge turn off to me. Like when, back in, Sujuane, BC, before Christ, that was a huge turn off to me. I didn't want to see no crying man. And, I'm like, it made me uncomfortable. It was like, I don't know what to, what to say, what to do. Like, I don't know, I didn't understand that. But I think that, like I said earlier, it feeds into that need to be to be hard all the time, because we're like, don't come up here crying around me, but now that I've evolved and I've gone through counseling, I've done some growing, I've done some work on me. I think that to me, that's just the sexiest thing. There's nothing sexier than a man that's willing to be vulnerable and honest about how he feels.
Yeah, I tell my wife, see me now, I cry so much. I'm known as a crying preacher. For real, because now I see the freedom in being vulnerable, Sean, that I cry publicly. I cry in front of my wife. I dart in there. We've sat down and we've had real interpersonal conversations, personally and spiritually, and she's seen me cry, and I don't hide my tears now. So I knew that, and it's freedom. It's freedom in that.
It's free therapy. We like free.
And my wife says that all the time. Tears are free, love is free, but none of it's free if you bound behind all that toughness and that toxicity. That poisonous spirit, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is, well, we thought we was gonna give y'all one thing.
Y'all got something, so y'all can't even bless brother James over here. Can't even bless y'all spirits today.
But it was, it was, but this was right on time, and thank happened for a reason. This conversation needed to be had.
Yeah.
And just what a way to do. We spoke last week. We ended last week on 2022 that this was going to be a new year in a new me. First, with new year, new me. We're not worrying about anybody else. We're starting with ourselves. What better way to do new year and new me than to be vulnerable?
Work on your vulnerability. Absolutely.
Work on your vulnerability.
I feel like Sesame Street. That's the word of the day. Vulnerable.
No. What I'm gonna do sometime this week, I'm gonna have to print us a vulnerable shirt, and we need to be intentional on wearing it on here. Because what that has to become is so intentional that you deliberate on being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And since you're talking about shirts, why don't you go ahead and tell the people?
Yes.
Tell us about your awesome man. I'll be bragging on you. You don't even understand. I'll be bragging. I sent your link to my dad, some of my friends. I was like, man, you got to check out my cousin's shirts, and these shirts are so dope. So talk about your business.
I am part owner with my wife of Sermon on Shirts. And God had given me a vision. I've done t-shirts for probably the last 15 years. But it was never profitable because as a Christian man, I was catering to a secular world. Not understanding where he was guiding me and redirected me. So when I had this spiritual awakening to Sermon on Shirts, and I was like, Sermon on Shirts, and God was explaining to me, I need you to promote me graphically, because I freehand draw. I'm a portrait artist as well.
Okay.
So that graphic design, God say, what does it look like me giving you a gift and you're sharing it with the world instead of your own kind?
Yeah.
So that rerouted me. To make a long story short, this is when I met my wife, this was birthing me.
Oh,
on
wow.
my birthday, what she gave me for my gift, she had heard me speak about this. She had went down to the Treasury, comptrollers, and she had gotten a copy written and gotten me an LLC, and she handed it to me as a birthday gift.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
Sermon on Shirts was birthed.
Wow.
That's what she
That's
gave.
awesome.
She said, I can give you Jordans or a watch, all the stuff you like, but I believe in what you say God has shown you. And as a result, we launched Sermon on Shirts, and we are expressing God graphically. I do nothing derogatory at all. Everything is scripture based, and he's given me graphic insight spiritually into scripture to just recreate and to promote him like never before. So that's what we do, and we enjoy doing it. We give away free clothing under the bridge. So if you see some folk under the bridge that are homeless, rocking Sermon on Shirts, they didn't pay for it. We gonna hand out hoodies and t-shirts and give away stuff. Because it's at the end of the day, we'll make a profit when God says we need to make a profit.
Right.
But what we've been delegated to do is really express him graphically with a Sermon on Shirts. So as the shirt speaks to you outside of our presence, is doing God's will. And it allows you to reflect and look down. I told my wife one day, this is funny. I was mad, walking through the house mad. And you know how you get out the shower and you're in your little way, but because I print all my own shirts, I couldn't even be mad too long, because I had to put on a Christian shirt.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't even walk around. I couldn't even walk around mad. So no matter what I dug through it was going to speak and challenge and check and convict me about my attitude. And just off of the shirt, it started to correct my spirit. And that's the whole point of Sermon on Shirts, that you can put something on and it has a way to convict you to be like, man, you know what? If I got on God vibes, not good vibes, but God vibes, that means that I need to be a champion, and my spirit needs to be exuding from me that affects another person in a positive way. You can't wear that shirt without doing that.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's the best origin story of a business I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Time has gotten away from us. This is
thank y'all.
It was worth it.
It was beautiful.
I need James to talk about his one other business venture, because not only does James it has the best graphic design shirts in the universe, he is also a very skilled barber. Okay, so please tell the folks how they can book one of your services. There's a very specific, very professional way. Tell us a little bit about how they can secure your talented barber services, please.
Okay, I will. And I have to tell you what led to that. I used to be known as the Edge Up King.
Okay.
Because I was good with the razor. I've been cutting hair since I was 12 years old. I'm 49, so it's 38 years that I've been cutting hair. But when I came out the gate as a spiritual man using the Edge Up King, God immediately checked me and told me, this is not about you. How you going to be a king when I am the King of Kings is where groom ethics was birthed. Because God needed me to see, you have been given a gift to stand behind this chair to groom men and women internally and externally with my word, with the counsel that I placed in you. So at that point, that's where groom ethics was birthed, because I have a responsibility and accountability behind the chair to cater to the needs of every client that's seated in my chair, one person at a time. And that is which would led to me joining Booksy. is where you can find me, and I am under Groom Ethics. I do appointments only. I never have a crowd. I cut every 30 minutes. I'm always there on time. I'm an early barber. I cut 5:30 in the morning to 12:30.
Oh, wow.
And I've been doing that. I've been at this one salon 13 years now. I've been at the same spot since I've had my license, pretty much. And this is it's a divine opportunity for me, because you can go to any other barbershop and you get a whole bunch of craziness. And one thing I knew with the type of clientele God was sending me, he needed them isolated enough. You're going to love this, Sean, to be vulnerable.
Yes.
See, he was teaching me. I hate we out of time, because one of the main topics about traits of toxic masculinity was about being homophobic. And as a result of what he's done for me, I have gay clients that I am now friends with, and God has delivered me from that homophobia. Through developing personal relationships with them. And none of that was done.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. We can break it up into 2 episodes. Yeah, let's get into it. That's another thing that I really wanted to talk about, was homophobia with Black men, because it's, that's just, and sometimes I think it's just a stereotype. I don't feel like all Black men are homophobic, but yeah, that's something I really wanted to get into. It was
a more of a, my mother, my mother, Sujuane, and Sean, you met my mother. My mama never piped any of that into me. It was the ecology, the environment I grew up in, where everybody had to be a man's man and tough. So they're not telling you to go out and hate somebody because of a lifestyle. It's kind of inherently woven into you non-verbally. So all those years that's in me, when I went to barber school, this is when I initially got my spiritual aha about this. And I was cutting this gentleman, Shamari is his name. I was cutting his hair, and the instructor of the barber school referred him to me because he used to be his barber. So he referred him to me. He said, "No, that James, he cut better than I do, man. You should go to him, because I don't cut anymore." Not knowing who I was cutting, once I finished the service, he was like, "Yeah, man, he'll probably bring all his other gay buddies to you." And I was like, "Oh, he's gay?" And at that moment, I had to go in the back, because I knew how I grew up and how homophobic I was, and I probably would have even cut his hair at the time had I known. Because he was respectful to me. God showed me, you don't have a right to hate anybody I made. What you have a mandate to do is to love them. You see, Sean, how talking to Dr. Gorley helped me be vulnerable to other. See and that's what I'm talking about.
I see.
That's how she helped me. So that was 2008, and I saw me being vulnerable, and that guy will go on to refer other gay clients to me, and to this day, they have been some of my more reliable clients, and get this, and respectful clients.
Gotcha.
And some of my more and even though I'm a minister, I don't bash them about their lifestyle, but I do challenge them to look at different things. And none of them has ever told me I was toxic. None of them have ever told me I'm wrong. And I mean, 13 to 14 years I've been knowing these gentlemen. So you see how you can grow with just simply being vulnerable. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. I appreciate you decided to that was worth the extra minutes.
One of them calls me his brother, Lyndon. He's actually a doctor, a professor at University of Texas. And he and I have become so close. He comes right in and calls me pastor. He coming in tomorrow, and he comes right in looking for a word of encouragement.
That's awesome.
He's put. Matter of fact, I write to his brother, who's in prison in New York. That's where he's originally from. So see how if I had not been vulnerable, I wouldn't have had the opportunity now to minister to his brother who lives a life like I used to.
Right.
You see how beautiful God is?
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
Yes. Being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable. The first step of New Year is to be vulnerable. Okay.
And just think about just even being vulnerable has brought the three of us together, you know, to be able to, because, you know, just Sean, you know, came into my life when, you know, we had lost our granddad. You know, that's when I met Sean.
That's when I found out my cousin.
Yeah. You know, we lost, Peter and I are related because his dad and my mom were siblings, and we obviously shared the same grandfather. And but yeah, so it was just interesting because having gone through counseling and stuff, I was vulnerable and open enough to even receive a relationship with Sean, because
here.
A couple years ago, I'd have been like, I'm good, you know, but the fact that I was vulnerable and I said, God, like you said, it's beautiful the way God works. Because he's been a huge blessing, you know, as I've gone through other stuff, you know, and so so I just that's what this whole podcast is about, is just us strengthening that Mackie bond and strengthening our familial bonds and getting to know each other, you know, our cousins and stuff that we don't know, we didn't grow up with, and all that kind of stuff, and just getting closer and more tight knit as a family, because all of us are really awesome in our own special ways, and you know, and it's just so amazing just to see us just kind of feed off of each other and just, you know, and be in each other's lives and watch each other grow. This
is culture building. It's culture, but even though we're related, us three, we're so interrelated with people who look like us. That may not be biologically connected to us, but a conversation like this is culture building. That's what it has to be. That it has to be a platform where we're willing to be transparent, vulnerable, and honest. The thing about us as a culture, nobody wants to look wrong.
That part.
Everybody wants to look right. And I've learned in school that's a histrionic personality disorder. People who have to be the center of attention and right all the time. And that's no one's right all the time, because you say, I'm gonna keep saying this, Sean, that word vulnerable is such a very powerful word.
Oh, you done said it so much, we changing the title of this episode.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
I love it.
We change it up. This was very much, this is what I needed this evening. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. And I totally agree with Sujuane. It was because, you know, of that vulnerability, you know, I share those same sentiments, you know, about Sujuane. And I told Sujuane this a long time ago. I stopped calling Sujuane my cousin a long time ago. So Sujuane, I view Sujuane as a sister, like a sister that, you know, actually grew up with me. That's just how close
y'all,
you know what I'm saying? And it took off so organic. I think it kind of took us both by surprise. You know what I'm saying? Because I just didn't think that we would grow so close, so fast. And, you know, it's almost been a year and we still haven't skipped a beat.
Because you're both vulnerable.
So and everything happened right at the right time.
Amen.
This has been absolutely beautiful. We all needed this. This was awesome. Aren't you glad you woke up for this one?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I was sleeping good. I was, I was sleeping good. So we look forward to getting those shirts
Okay,
Babe,
yeah.
yes.
Just y'all text me your size. I have your size, Sujuane. Text me
Yeah.
yours, and I bring yours when I come over your house.
Got it's gonna be simple because
then I got your number now, so I'm gonna be texting you about my project. So yeah.
Okay.
This is awesome.
Hey, if you ever need me again, feel free. My wife is available too if you ever got any other topics.
Hey, we calling on you again, bruh. This is a family affair, okay? So
absolutely,
we calling on you again. All right.
Oh, I'm available.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you for jumping on and do this. And for those out there, this is another can't miss episode, y'all. Okay. I felt it. I've been feeling it all week ever since Peter said or he agreed to do this episode with us. It just felt like this was going to be a can't miss episode. That this was going to be must see TV.
Yeah.
So thank you, cousin James.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
The work that you put in, you came prepared. You did everything we asked you to do and then some. We really appreciate that. Sujuane, I don't need to tell you how I feel about you. I think that message has been conveyed a million times over. To the fans out there, I hope it is conveyed to you guys how much we love you, the family, especially the family. We want to always reiterate every week and every day of our lives that we love you. Sujuane, you have any other closing comments?
No, I'm going to actually let our guests close this out and give us some words of encouragement for the balance of the week and the balance of the year. Yeah, so take us on out, Pastor.
Well, the only words of encouragement, and I like to be realistic with people. My word of encouragement to, and this is broad, it's not based or generated just for us as Black culture, but for whoever has tuned in and subscribed. The only way that you can be the best version of you that ever existed is to be vulnerable enough to be challenged, to eviscerate, remove, resolve, and alleviate every individual pharaoh that dwells beneath your shell and let yourself go.
Amen. Amen.
Because we think that no one else holds the keys to our manacles or our handcuffs. We do it to ourselves. And it reminds me, last year I wrote a paper in school, my inner pharaoh. And what I was trying to convey was nobody has handcuffs on me but me. Pharaoh, he held the children of Israel in captivity and enslaved them. But I'm saying that's long gone. The pharaoh is when I choose to handcuff my mind, my heart, my sexuality, my finances, and my future. So I challenge people, if you really want to be free, deal with your inner pharaoh.
I love that.
Deal with your inner pharaoh.
Okay. And with that, with that, we gonna sign off. I don't think there's nothing else to be said.
No.
Yeah. So thank y'all so much.
I love y'all, and I thank y'all for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and we love you too. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And I hope something that was said here would bless your spirit and to continue to move you forward. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable. So
Amen.
With that, we're going to see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much, cuz we love you, and peace out.
Peace.